Hello, and thanks for tuning in to PWD Allies podcast. My name is Brent Frain. I'm the host. Joined today with me is Neil Matheson, my editor producer, and I'm broadcasting today from Victoria, British Columbia, the capital region of BC. Also joining me today is Jeff Leggat from Disability Action of Canada. And hello, Jeff. Good morning. How is the weather in your neck of the woods?
Good. I'm up in Duncan, BC, midway up between Nanaimo and Victoria. It's beautiful today. It was a wet morning, but it's nice now. The sun is trying to break through the clouds, so it's beautiful.
We can't
Yeah,
see your neck. We can't see your neck, Jeff.
Hang
Can you,
on.
there you go. That's
There we
there,
go.
there you are.
Thank you.
Yeah, and today for our viewers joining us or listening live, we're going to be talking about, well, today's an emergency podcast, and we're talking about fraud. We're talking about a news release that was put out by Global BC from one of the reporters, talking about alleged of millions of dollars that has been just flushed. So we're going to dive right into that today. And joining me again, like I mentioned, is Jeff Leggat from Disability Action of Canada. Jeff, what does all this mean? What's going on?
Okay, first of all, if you haven't heard, the Global News did a story yesterday, the day before, regarding a whistleblower from inside the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction,
Mhm.
talking about the amount of fraud
Oh,
going on within the ministry, releasing so much unnecessary funds, taxpayer funds, to people who don't deserve it.
hmm.
It's a scare tactic. It's clickbait. Millions being wasted on these people who are just scamming the system. Let's be clear. The Ministry of Poverty Reduction and Social Development combines both the disability and the income assistance. It's
Hmm.
not one department for disability and one department for social assistance or EI. It's all combined under one. So there's two different structures of society support that you're looking at. Number two, they talked about how millions of dollars have been ill-gotten over the past number of years. Now, they weren't quite
Hmm.
specific with the time frame, but they did say that the person, the whistleblower, was had worked there for 20 years. I'm not going to diminish the whistleblower's words. I can probably almost guarantee that there has been some fraud, and maybe rules and regulations aren't being followed, because you're working with humans. You're working with thousands of humans working for the ministry, giving out to tens of thousands of people on disability or income assistance. So, of course, there's going to be some level of overpayment, or maybe not the proper follow up to ensure that that person is needing that money or whatever. Sure, there will be some quote unquote fraud, but to frame it the way it was framed during the week of International Disability Day, during the recent release of ending the spousal clawbacks, but not really ending the spousal clawbacks. So there was blowback on that one in BC. There's been a lot of focus about the less than poverty level financial support that persons with disabilities continue to receive in 2025 in BC.
Mhm.
Oh,
This
wow.
comes across to me as almost as if it's the same as systemic racism, but it's systemic discrimination. The narrative has always been that people are stealing your money, and
Yeah.
these low lifes that are on disability, who don't need to be on disability, or on income assistance, who should be out working, are stealing your hard earned money, taxpayer money. That's the narrative that always keeps the government, it validates the government to not pay proper financial support. That's the narrative. It's
Oh,
always the bum next door that's stealing your money. Meanwhile, corporations and billionaires are the ones that are amassing the collective wealth of our nation, but no one goes after them, or the billions of dollars of fraud, hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud that the politicians themselves have been known to commit. And trust me, there's a whole list of that. So I'm
Yeah.
not saying something that's defamatory. It's absolutely true. So
Yeah.
here's the thing. Persons with disabilities have to go through two medical professionals to be assessed and designated as a person with disability and to be able to receive disability income support in British Columbia. There's just not anybody signing up and saying, I can't work, I'm disabled, give me money. They go through an extensive application form and they have to do interview with doctor and with the psychiatrist. So these are two professionals that have no money or no skin in the game. So they are the ones that approve you as being a disabled and unable to work or find work or do work that's expected in today's society. So that's number one. Number two, disabled people in British Columbia get up to 1535 a month or thereabouts, 64% of poverty level. So a disabled person is not walking away with millions of dollars. Let's get that very clear.
Yeah.
Disabled people aren't scamming the money worth for millions of dollars. No one's driving around in a Bentley. They are getting 64% of poverty level each month, having to go to the food banks, having to go without, having to sometimes ask for crisis supplements. And that gets me into the next point. Crisis supplements
Yes.
is if you run out of money, if you something happens to your furniture, if your car gets broken into and your groceries are stolen, you can apply through the ministry and ask for a crisis supplement. And it is very limited. If let's say you run out of your groceries are stolen from your car, or you're walking home on ice and you fall and all your groceries are damaged and no longer can be used, you get up to $50, 50. That's
Ooh,
it for that month for your
Mhm.
crisis food supplement.
wow.
If a piece of furniture is damaged or something happens, you need furniture for a crisis. You have to justify it. You have to go through this rigmarole I just went through to get a new mattress for my bed. It took 2 weeks. Then I was finally approved, and 13 days after I requested it. And I got talked to three different people and it went through back and forth. This money isn't just being given out, it's being very well controlled.
Mhm.
Other persons with disabilities who've asked for crisis supplements for clothing, for food, for whatever, it is very controlled situation. I don't see anybody getting thousands, millions of dollars and committing fraud on this through the ministry. Now, that being said, is there fraud? Maybe. Is it through income assistance? Maybe. It's much more difficult through disability because you have to meet certain criteria.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to diminish this person's
Well,
claims, but
Mhm.
you can't
yeah.
just run a report or a news story with this inflamed story about millions going missing and leave it at that. You have to have both sides of the story here.
Well,
If there's problems with the
yeah.
ministry, deal with them individually and take care of the problems. Don't make a generalized statement that all disabled people and
Mhm.
people on income assistance are fraudsters and scammers and are stealing your millions of dollars.
Yeah. And you know what, Jeff, is when the story first broke, it was Eleanor Sturko. She tweeted about it that's the first tweet that I saw,
Mhm.
and it kind of lended credibility to it because, of course, she was the one that kind of blew the lid off the whole redistribution of all the fentanyl, right?
Yes.
So right away when I saw that tweet, I'm going, wow, that's significant. And I saw the media story. I
Mm,
watched it, and when I first watched it, I actually didn't pick up on the negativity right away. I have to be honest,
yeah.
because the original media release had Sheila Malcolmson on camera, and she said, you know, that there's about $15 million of fraud a year that they stop,
Mm,
and she even said that the fraud that happens is not from people with disabilities. She actually is on camera saying that
good.
the fraud is not from people with disabilities. So right away, I was thinking to myself, well, okay, it's not really targeting people with disabilities. But then I watched it a second time, and then I saw that the whistleblower was actually mentioned like three different case files
Yes.
where she actually was mentioning specifically three different people with disabilities saying
Yes.
that they were cheating the system. So
Yes.
so it's a bit of both. I saw a bit of both there. So I was kind of on the fence because I could see that it wasn't necessarily targeting disabilities at first when I first looked at it, and then I looked at it again, and then I realized, okay, it kind of is.
I mean,
And
those crisis supplements are very difficult to get, Jeff. Like you mentioned, is like if you already have like there's a pre-existing problem. If your food freezes in your fridge, the government will not issue out a crisis supplement because it's a pre-existing problem.
yeah, that's as I said, it's very well controlled. It's
Yeah.
very well portioned out. You have to go through a very strict. You have to meet very strict criteria in order to
Mhm.
get that limited amount of money. So it's not like it's just being I need money and they give you money. It's not. You have to meet very strict criteria through the ministry and in order to get extra funds. Otherwise, you're just getting that, as I said, 64% off poverty level is your regular monthly disability income support. Going back to you, Neil, I love the idea that there was the two different stories, and I like the fact that Minister Malcolmson was trying to clarify
Mhm.
things about
Hmm.
fraud and about disability and that kind of stuff. But here's the takeaway: when you look at a news source or you look at a news report on TV, the majority of the population is going to take away Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction for Disabled and Income Assistance are fraudsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway.
You see it all the time on Twitter. I see all these tweets of like people with disabilities are grifters.
Yes, always,
They're
Yeah.
always
always.
always those things on Twitter saying that. Yeah.
And this is the I'm going to say colonial. This is the colonial tool in order for the government not to have to pay proper financial support. One of the
Hmm.
colonial tools, and you've known that in systemic racism, in systemic discrimination, is pitting the public against the most vulnerable,
Yeah.
pitting the public against the First Nations, pitting the public against the people who are unemployed, lazy bums, pitting the public against people with disabilities. Well, they can surely work. Why is your money being used to support them? That's not right. You work hard for your money. So that's a tool of the government, of the system,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's used to control and justify less than proper financial support
Yeah.
across the board. And that's what gets me mad. We're
And
fighting.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and that reminds me of like when Mio and I talk about this on the podcast a lot, Jeff, of one of the former premiers of BC way back in the 1990s. Neil, you mentioned,
Mike Harcourt.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and what was the line
Hardcore,
he
yeah.
used again?
Yeah. It was cheats, varmints, and deadbeats,
Yeah,
right?
and again, and that narrative gets put out there to the
Yeah.
public, and they think that people are defrauding frauding
And
the system.
I wanted to clarify. That's a good thing, Brent, to clarify is that
Yeah,
both in 1994 when Mike Harcourt said that, and then later again in 2001 when Gordon Campbell, remember he had everybody reassessed.
yep.
Both times, both premiers claimed that there was some fraud going on, and both times it was proven, like it was refuted there was no fraud happened there.
Mhm.
Both times they looked into it and there was no fraud.
And that's
Yeah.
half the narrative is getting that idea out there, that narrative out there that there is fraud. Yeah, we guarantee there is. We're you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna give your hard-earned money to these deadbeats or these fraudsters. That's the narrative that we have to fight
Mhm.
every single day, and that's what's kind of sad about this global news story. Lovely, have on there a whistleblower. Sure, maybe there needs to be some tighter control at some of the
Yeah.
many offices of
Mhm.
the ministry throughout BC. Maybe there has to be tighter checks and balances, but at the same time, also let the public know that it's a minority, and the
Hmm.
Yeah.
majority of people on income assistance or on disabilities income support are living in government imposed poverty,
Hmm.
Yeah.
are living in poverty, are fighting for every dollar they
Yeah.
get. And because the government of Canada does not deem them to be suitable or necessary to have poverty level financial support in 2025. And yet, in this country, we allow and celebrate billionaires. We allow and celebrate unprecedented profits. We allow and celebrate uh, shareholder profits galore. That we all want to achieve this gluttony of wealth, this gluttony of profits, and for the few, hoping that maybe I'll be one of the few. Maybe I can be a billionaire too, or you can be a billionaire too. When the reality is, we're all one paycheck away or less than that of being homeless.
Right.
And
Exactly.
people with disability are mostly uh, are the highest percentage of living in poverty of all the people in Canada is disability. People with disabilities are more chance of being living in poverty based
Hmm.
on everybody else's.
Hmm.
Yeah, and there's so many fraudulent of like the corporate landlords, for instance. I mean, verification of their residency. Nothing against the income assistance recipients or people with disabilities, but corporate again. There's a lot of corporate landlords out there that were that. I mean, in some cases, they'll fraud the system, right? Of not being quite up and up. I mean, there's a lot of great corporate landlords that are out
Yeah,
there that are just they're there. A person can rent the place, no problem. But there are some, questionable actors out there that will try to gauge the system. But again, it's not a lot. There's not a
yeah.
lot of them. But it's that narrative that the news hour will run with it because it's a catchy clickbait.
It's a clickbait thing. It's
Yeah,
a scare tactic. It's a I don't know what do you call that? Rage bait or whatever. I
yeah.
don't know what it
Yeah.
is.
But then it
But
justifies the government saying, "Well, see, yeah, see."
yes, we have to control, we have to cut back on these fraudsters. Just so you people out there don't know, Brett, you're dealing with some interesting information with not so moral landlords.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with how to access your crisis supplements and how the ministry has been reacting to it. So we're going to come back in the new year to our persons with disabilities throughout BC and give them some ideas and suggestions and steer them towards accessing more money through crisis supplement and what's the most positive way of doing that, and also accessing more money through Work BC training programs that get money in your pocket. Um, but let's concentrate on the fraud part. I can guarantee that the majority of persons with disabilities are not getting rich off the ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Guarantee it.
exactly.
And
And
you mentioned the bad landlords there, Jeff, and that's where I kind of wonder if that's where some of the fraud is coming from, because in the news story, it did say that the ministry staff is no longer requiring landlords to sign off on anything
to verify
to
that.
verify as part of the verification. They don't need any kind of landlord signature anymore.
The problem on that one is in some cases if the landlord has a direct say it's a direct deposit going into them, there's no way of saying that that money was actually paid to a corporate landlord. I mean, if they have an email address and there are some corporate landlords that will require you to pay by email address.
Transfer.
And when it
Yes.
gets sent that way, if it's auto deposit and if there's no paper trail, there's no way of actually proving that you paid that corporate landlord. Now they've got the money, and if you've signed any documents, it's done deal. Like now you are hooped, right?
Well,
Yeah.
well, and the other interesting thing that was mentioned in the broadcast in the news story,
Mhm.
again, talking about Sheila Malcolmson, she's quoted as saying on that piece that uh, that some of the fraud is coming from businesses, actual businesses, not individuals, but
Yeah,
businesses.
I heard
That's
about
what
that.
I heard too, and I was kind of confused with that. Couple
Yeah,
things confused me. I don't know who is getting $6,000 a month in
yeah,
Ah,
disability. or income assistance as a family.
Hmm.
I don't know how many kids are involved here or whatever. And and the story that they are provided with $6,000 a month, and 1,000 of that goes towards shelter, and the rest is left in their bank account. They said, but
Yeah.
the family was still asking for crisis supplements.
Wow.
What size of family are we talking about? I've never even heard of
I
six
know.
thousand dollars a month going to one particular family. It
Yeah.
must be income assistance, but I don't want to assume because I
Hmm.
can't see that as one of the disability
Yeah.
And that's
issues.
per month. I mean, you times it by a year. I mean, that's enough for PWD of like five PWD checks in basically in
Exactly.
many years. Yeah.
So if there is, and
Wow.
sure, I'm going to say there probably is fraud because we all know the world is the world, and people are people, and if they can get a little bit of a few dollars here extra, then they'll go ahead and do it until they get caught or whatever. I understand
Hmm.
that. But the majority of persons with disabilities, and I'm probably going to say the majority of people on income assistance, are so well controlled that they're not committing fraud.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If this is an issue with the ministry, deal with the ministry. Don't put it on TV as a scare tactic,
Hmm.
continuing the narrative that deadbeats and disabled people are stealing your money.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway that was disgusting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And global news during the week of International Disability Day,
Yeah.
during the so much work that we've done, that the government has done for inclusiveness, for helping people with disabilities find work, for helping people with disabilities gain dignity and
Hmm.
respect in our society. That is not the narrative that needs to be thrown into the TV news cycle in 2025. It was disgusting.
Which, by the
Quite
way,
shocked. I was quite shocked on that too. The day that it got released, and even on the day that the House adjourned for the fall
Yes.
session, it came out and
yeah,
splashy right on the news. Just throw it out there. It's like boom.
I was gonna say, like the International Day for People with Disabilities, that was on Wednesday,
Yeah.
and I don't know about both of you, but I didn't hear anything from anybody about let's celebrate what today is.
Mhm.
I didn't see any tweets. Maybe both of you did. I didn't see anything,
I didn't see anything.
I saw a
and
few of
it's
them. I saw a few
disappointing.
government tweets. I
Yeah,
saw a few, which was okay.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, let's bottom line is this is not the narrative we want out there about people
yeah.
with disabilities. We're not scamming the system. We're not uh, driving Bentleys and living the high life. We are
Yeah.
barely getting by month to month. We are going hungry 3 days, the last 3 days of the month. We are going without clothes, new
Hmm.
clothes, until our clothes fall apart because we're living off of $1,500 a month in
Yeah. Or less.
2025's rental market, in 2025's food market, in 2025's cost of living issues.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
and it.
the latest news article on the about food prices, they're supposed to be going up next year too in 2026. And so I'm calling on the BC government to make sure that there's an increase in the 2026 BC budget for persons with disabilities and tie the rates to inflation because costs don't go down, your rent doesn't go down, and
Mm,
74 70 74% pay market rent,
right.
right?
Yeah,
No,
70, yeah.
and I mean it's huge.
74% of persons with disabilities do not have access to subsidized
Yeah.
housing. I'm
Yeah.
calling on the Minister of Housing in BC to actively work towards providing subsidized housing for 100% of persons with disabilities in BC over the
Hmm.
next 5 years.
Yeah, and make sure it's actually tied to the individual, not the household, because the recent announcement that the BC government put out there, Jeff, as we were talking before about, is the spousal cap. So
Yes.
when they said that two individuals will have their own individual checks, now BC Housing, they have it set where it's based on household. So two
Yes.
PWD, one file,
Yeah,
so there's a problem. So that needs to be fixed too.
exactly.
But there again,
I gotta head out. I think the room is being used next. I'm at
okay.
my church, which is beautiful. One last thing I had. I wrote a letter to Sheila's office this morning, condoning the piece and
Yeah,
making sure that I'm asking for her to come out publicly on
yeah.
paper. Uh, in support of persons with disabilities not being the ones that should be, this
Scapegoated.
narrative doesn't have
Scapegoated.
to be
Yeah.
sustained and
Yeah.
promoted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a quick message. Sorry, Neil, I didn't cut you off, but
Sorry.
a quick message for Global BC. If you
Yeah.
would like to do a follow up with lived experience, talk to people with disabilities, reach out to Jeff Leggat from Disability Action of Canada. Or you can reach out to myself and Neil. We'd be more than happy to do a video on-site interview with you to let you know where we stand on your news footage that you put out there.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
again, like my final comment is like the reason why it had credibility with me is because the first tweet I saw was from Eleanor Sturko, and you know, and again, we all know about the redistribution of all the free fentanyl. So there obviously is some sort of high level crime element going on there, but we are not the high level crime element. Like
Oh,
people with
exactly.
disabilities aren't. So there's obviously something going on above us somewhere, but like people that are the clients of BC PWD are not the culprit.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah.
guys, for having me on today.
Thank you very much, Jeff,
Okay.
for coming on to PWD Allies podcast. We'll have you on again soon as a follow up. Take care, and thanks everyone for joining in today to PWD Allies podcast. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Please subscribe and like and share.